Hello, everyone. This is Robert Jackson. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. We kind of had some technical difficulties earlier, but regardless, the show must go on. Today, we're going to be chatting with somebody who has been a part of, who's been working in the business for a while. I consider him to be a peer and a colleague, my bro, homie, what have you. But yeah, you've recently heard him on Genshin Impact, which congrats. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Thank
we
you.
have Mr. Damon Alums. I hope I'm saying
Damon
it right.
Alums.
Damon
Damon
Alums. Yeah.
Alums.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
joining me today.
Glad to be here, man. Glad to kick it with you voice to voice, if not face to face.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, would you like to just I don't know. Let's do a little bit of an icebreaker type of thing. So
Okay.
just share more about yourself and yeah, so we can get to know you a little better. Like what you've done, just overall, just general fun facts or whatever. Just shoot the breeze. That's what we're doing today.
Gotcha. Well, to all appearances, I am the gruff paternal type, but I am a lifelong nerd, been a fan of fantasy and superheroes and pop culture since, shoot, the early 70s. Um, So if you've heard about it, I probably read it as it was dropping. Um, Devoted father, three boys, love to cook. If you got a pot, a pan, and a couple of cans, I can throw together something that'll knock your socks off in a good way. Um, yeah, avid video gamer. Got my little Twitch channel that I get on at least once a week. And yeah, I like hanging out with good people, and that's why I'm here.
Right on, man, right on. So let's just get right to it. My first question to you is, has this always kind of like came to your mind that like, hey, I want to give this a shot, or just like, have you had like other career aspirations prior to starting VO, or how? What's your story?
Actually, yeah, I'm probably got a couple decades on most of the folks in your circle. I have been in the restaurant business and the education business since I was 18. Um, I got hit with a massive life curveball that made me have to rebuild my life from scratch. And in the rebuilding time, I took a look at all the dreams that I had put aside in order to keep surviving. And with nothing to lose and everything to gain, I decided to act on them. I mean, I've had this baritone again since I was 18, and I've always had a performer's heart, but I listen too hard or too well to the voices around me. Oh, don't do that. That's not stable. What are you doing that for? Black folks don't do that stuff. And sadly, I listened to them for far too long. When I got hit with that crossroads of life, um, yeah, I decided not to. Bought a mic and an interface with my last couple quarters. That was a desperate decision, but I decided to bet on me. Strip down all the ego, all the things that I had been taught about myself, and started over. And with that humility and a student's heart, yeah, I got into voiceover, and it's been growing and blossoming ever since. It hasn't all been sunshine and roses, but it's been great lessons and great victories. And I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, right on, man. So when you got your first, like when you first started out into VO, so how would you describe like when you first started out, like the whole like atmosphere from when you first started out and now, since you've been doing this for a long time, how would you describe the atmosphere then to how it is right now?
Um, Now I haven't been in the business long enough to go back to the OG status where the folks took around burned CDs with their demo on it to agents and all that stuff, sitting in a room where the other folks auditioning are right there in the room with you. That's the like double OG status. To tell you the truth, we probably came into the business during the same era, the era of the MP3, the at-home booth. I'm sitting in my little custom booth right now. So I haven't been in it long enough to have seen the sea change from the double OGs. I'm in the same mix as you are now. The pay to plays, uh, auditions sent via email, and like that. Um, what has changed is my awareness of the industry, how vast and how many levels and layers it has. So I guess the big change would be internal. As I've learned and asked questions and truly listened, I've learned that the agents have their own hectic drama that they have to deal with. The management level of the game, what the pay to plays do, what they have to do to survive. And it's a vast clockwork industry machine. And I'm just a little wheel spinning in it, even though I'm an awesome wheel. But the machine is amazing to witness when it works the way that it should. So what's changed? Me.
Yep, all about self-improvement, yo. Yeah. So I know that even though you haven't been in the industry for very long, who would you say are some of your mentors, like the people who helped to really guide you among, on your own path? Um, because I know that everyone's journey is totally different, but who would you say were, your big like influences, like the people who had really helped you along the way
Got you there.
thus far?
Absolutely. Again, that when I started in when I when I first decided that I would follow the performer's dream and get into VO, I had less than nothing. I'm not going to comment on my living situation at the time, but it was capital R real. Didn't have much to hold on to, but I did have hope and a willingness to work. Um, I took a 15-minute consultation with one of the industry mavens, Ann Ganguza. And in that talk, it was a friendly, cordial, bubbly conversation, but it gave me a golden nail to hang my hopes on. And it gave me enough to keep on going when I didn't have anything else. That conversation, I guess you could say, was the fertile seed that started my journey in VO growing. And as such, I call her my Auntie Anne for giving me that hope when all hope was gone. Auntie Anne, yeah, she's tops in my book. Talk to her on the regular, and we have become uh, pretty close. Pretty close. We've gone from cordial to very, very friendly, and she's one of the folks that I can call on to get industry scoops from someone who's several steps ahead of the game from where I am. Um, Another one was a peer in the nerd space who actually catapulted me several steps ahead. Trey Mosley. Again, this was when I was starting. Prospects were looking super, super bleak. Had a talk with Auntie Ann and did a follow up with my man Trey Mosley. And he's the one, since we had locked horns um about nerdy stuff. We're in several Facebook groups together, and we've locked horns and gone at it, barbershop banter, like, oh yeah, you think you know? Nah, how about this? So we sparred, and that sparring nature of our friendship allowed me to ask the hard questions um, that don't normally get asked and can usually scuttle the dreams of a bright-eyed rookie. I wasn't going to be one of those. So I hit him. I hit him with an avalanche of like, okay, what do you do when this happens? How do you send in an audition? What is it supposed to look like? And like, what about agents? So yeah, I hit him with the avalanche, and he answered every question. And he was so impressed with the forethought that I had given. He saw more in me than I saw in myself, and I knew that I was going to be able to make it. Um, just like a Jedi gifting a Padawan a test lightsaber until he can make his own, the AT-2020 that he had upgraded from his original microphone that he booked his first big gigs with, he passed it on to me. Still got it. That's a great story. And Auntie Ann and my big bro Trey, yeah, whenever I got questions, I think I'm going pretty good. But when I do have questions, those are the two that I go to first.
Yeah, I bet you'd be asking, like, the really, because this is what I usually do as well. Just talking to folks about, yeah, um, like I would just ask a lot of questions like, okay, so in this area in the industry, like, has it always been this, like, when you had to go through those huddles, like, what did you have to do, or what is something that helped you that you could probably pass on to others? So stuff like that, because I'm always I always want to lift I always want to lift up my peers. Like, we're just kind of all just people that are just like, hey, you know what? We're in the Olympics. This is a journey. This is a marathon. So let's just, let's just
Absolutely.
be there for each other. Like, watch out. Like, I got your back. You got mine. Come on, let's do this. Let's do it. Yeah, because we're like the champions. That's pretty
Absolutely.
much how the mindset that we kind of carry. Because it's like if somebody succeeds, it is like, you know what? That is my, he is going places. They going places. Yo, let's go. Yeah, and then they do the same thing, and it's kind of like it's just amazing how everybody is just so like on point, and we just all want each other to win and succeed in this very, very, very grueling business. So it's so important, man. Like that's just um and also we're just being real here. Like, yeah, it is pretty hard. Like this is not easy to like, especially when you have to go through the struggles and the hardships. Like I know people post about like, oh, um I just scored this gig, and at one point you kind of feel a little bit of like envy, but at the same time, it's like on their opposite end, that's kind of something that they had to work really hard towards. Like I'm talking like I can't even, I don't even want to imagine, but yeah, it's just kind of be like, for every win that you see on social media, there's like you just don't know what goes on behind, a closed door, like behind the scenes of the amount of work, the amount of, you know, pain or just whatever somebody is going through and just, what they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Like particularly like for like African Americans or like people in the BIPOC. That's why there's like, yeah, just a lot of internal struggles that we just go through each and every single day, that's why I do podcasts like this one, because I just wanted to lift people up. It's just a positive and just a nice way to just, take a break from the stress and, the grievances that are going on in the real world, to just chill and talk and have a nice, decent conversation with folks, because that's
Absolutely.
pretty much what I'm here for.
Absolutely.
That's what you're here for too.
Most definitely. Yeah, like you were saying, for every big gig, there are thousands of non-responses, hundreds of no thank yous, and even more piles upon piles of self-doubt. Like, so for every victory that you see posted, there's a whole lot of work that goes into it. And I think that's one of the things that um, made me interested in the voiceover as a community. Because you're right. Um, the support that you get is resounding. And you are also right that there, for every victory posted, there's a, oh man, shoot, I really wanted that role, which is then balanced out by like, hey, you got it, good job. Um, and when I was thinking about the business world and all that cutthroat type of interaction that is so different than the voiceover community, it really turned me off. Like, why would I want to be part of that? Which is why I was so lucky to find the hospitality biz and the world of education, because there's not a whole lot of that there. But transitioning to the voiceover space, yeah, it was a comfort to find an industry that reacted the way that I feel humans should act. Are we all in the mix? Yes. Are there contests where there is only one winner? Yes. Should you applaud that winner? Yes. Should you try to undercut that winner in order to make yourself feel good? No. Why would you want to do that? Um, it operates the way I feel humans should. It's not perfect and it's not seamless, but the support that you get for your dry spells as well as your triumphs is more human than I've seen in other arenas, and that's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, yep. So let's talk about some of your work real quick. Cause you've been in like I've seen you soar up like no tomorrow. Like you've been in a couple of really great projects. And I'm actually checking out your Twitter bio right now. um, you've been in Evil West. You've been in Kamikaze. You've been in Terrain, and also recently Genshin. So yeah, talking about each and every single one of those has been like a magical experience for you. And I gotta ask you, out of all of the stuff that you've done thus far, which are the what are the ones that really hold a special place in your heart? Something that really speaks to you and that you just have an absolute joy and a blast working on. What are some of the ones that resonate with you personally? And if there's a character that really speaks to you that you identify with, just yeah, favorite experiences.
Gotcha there. This one has a bit of a story behind it. Um, in the nerd space, I like to engage, learn about what's hot, and test the strength of conviction of my peers. Not in a hostile way, but if you're not feeling strongly about it, well, how strongly do you feel about this? Really? Okay. Can you be persuaded? If I present X to your Y, would you try X? That whole interplay, especially in the nerd space, sparks my wires and gets me like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to rock. Okay, that's me. Backstory: Facebook, nerd space. There is a creative who I have taken an affinity to. Um, Their posts are very intelligent and heartfelt, and they're very knowledgeable. And we sparked off an interesting social media friendship. I come to find out that they are creating a dust punk animated feature. Because I'm friends with them, I put it to them in a sort of friendly, sort of serious way. If you don't give me a chance to audition for the characters in this, I'm going to break your legs. Like, oh, stop playing. But soon enough, they sent me an audition. I went in the booth and like it was my last time on earth. Man, I knocked that audition out of the park, which should have been the end of it. I was satisfied. No legs needed to be broken. She sent the audition. All right. But I ended up getting the part. And that was the spy master, Orson Stikes, who is the leader of the resistance in the Dustpunk feature, webcomic, and now animated short, Kamikaze.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. Yeah. um, yeah, it's just a really heartfelt story in general. That's why I'm just like, oh wow, yeah, I'm just processing all of this. Because man,
They
yeah.
say they say it said that the relationships that you make will send your career to the stratosphere or drive it into the ground. And in that case, it was absolutely right. That little feature that could went from like three friends talking around a table about a story that they would like to see made. They ended up making it, and it ended up m- fulfilling their dreams of making an animated feature that actually has won awards. And yeah, from what I hear, they've got more in store. Can't say any more on it, or else they'll break my legs. But yeah, Team Kamikaze, a webcomic, and a whole lot more. Catch it if you can.
Self plug. Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about Genshin for a moment because I know that we all seem to love Genshin now. I mean, I've done like, no joke. I think I've done like a few interviews with Genshin actors, but it's like it's starting to become like a common recurring like, you know, I guess a tribute or a tradition that I like every time I there's something that's like really gaining a lot of publicity or buzz, then I just invite a bunch of actors from that project and I just was like, hey, you want to talk for a moment and just, shoot the breeze? And they're like, okay. That's really what happens. So, but I mean, like, we can't talk about Genshin, but I just want to because you seem like a really just that type of dude that's just always like, I mean, you've pretty much made it your brand where it's like you're the legend, you're the uncle, and you're always looking out after, your brothers and sisters. So that's what I really respect about you. So I'm just like, man, if I don't have this man on my podcast, I'm gonna regret it. I'm gonna have so many regrets for the rest of my life, man. I'm not kidding. Boy, boy,
Well,
shoot.
thank you.
Yeah.
It comes from doing what comes to you naturally. Um, I Lots of folks say that you're so serious. Like, no, I'm really not. But I do like to keep a stiff upper lip when I'm outside of my own home. There's a certain sense of decorum, and I guess that comes across in how I present myself online. Um, Understanding that this industry has no guidebook and no set of directions, and there are as many paths to success as there are people seeking success. Um, yeah, everybody can use a little guidance, and I'm not your dad, and I'm not going to tell you you have to do it this way or else. Like, nah. But being that I've taken a couple scrapes to my knees and a shot or two on the chin myself, I could tell you, like, hey, don't jump off that cliff now, which is something an uncle would do. Like, if you're going to jump, go ahead and jump, but you might want to reconsider. So it's all about presenting your essential self. Like, I came up in the 70s and Bruce Lee was the king of cinema back then. And like every 70s child, I've got a big soft spot for Bruce Lee. And one of his big tenets was get rid of what is not essentially you. Keep the fundamentals, add what is essentially you, and strip all the all the frosting off of it. And online, I feel I've kind of done that, which gives me a sort of an uncle vibe. And being an only child myself, I kind of like it. I kind of wish I was an uncle, but if I can serve as the wild uncle of the voiceover space, I'm all for it. Serve me up the brown liquor and let me get to the let me control the barbecue. Hey, it's a party.
Yeah, and of course, I have a feeling that your branding wouldn't have been like you wouldn't be without your branding if it wasn't for um a certain special someone that I might have name dropped here on the podcast before once or twice, but you gotta mention the main man, the big man himself, Corey Dissin.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey. Yes.
We gotta give him a shout out, boy.
Yes, most definitely. The Big Daddy, Corey Dissin. When I was at a voiceover crossroads and I knew that making a big mistake would have changed my trajectory in directions I didn't want, like know when you're in over your head and tap in somebody who knows more about it than you do. As far as marketing, I'm a real private guy. Being out here like this is a bit of a stretch for me. I'd rather love on my boys, chill at home, and cook magnificent food and play my video games. But that's not what is going to get me ahead in this voiceover game. So, what do you want? Do you want to stay who you are or do you want to change? I decided I wanted to change. Finding the most efficient way to change, I needed a mentor, I needed a coach. Looked for somebody who matched my ethos and my vibe. Corey Dissin, the main man. In between whiles, we talked mixed martial arts, which is a spectator passion of mine. But he got me up to speed, showed me the ropes, presented me with a way to present myself to the public that was definitely my vibe, and gave me, comparing it to a hike, he gave me my walking stick and a pair of sturdy boots, and I've been hiking ever since. So big ups to Corey Dissin.
Yeah. Now let's talk about Genshin. Yeah, tell us about how it was like getting to record for that project because now that it's your role is officially out, your character. Yeah, you could just let's just chill and talk about it for a little bit.
Gotcha.
Your overall
Uh,
experience and with the fandom or just anything in general.
yeah,
Um,
I guess talking about Corey is a very good lead-in, because of how I presented myself online, website, um, presence online, and remaining ever present. It was the team from Genshin who got in contact with me and said, "We need a baritone, gravelly voice for this character. Are you in?" Now, I only knew a little bit about Genshin at the time, but what I did know was that, yeah, say yes. I immediately responded like, "Hey, you're down? I'm down." I thought Genshin was only for like little cute voices because I had played it briefly and I was like, "Ooh, this is really, really twee." So this was out of the blue. Like I said in my social media post, I didn't think they had any time for anybody with a voice deeper than a high tenor. But they asked, I responded. And the lines are great. The Formosa team is absolutely amazing. Got them recorded, and I'm a part of gaming history
and
and glad to
bravo, man.
participate.
Bravo. Well deserved, man. Well earned. Yeah. So,
Many
would you
thanks.
like to discuss the struggles of? I think you kind of touched upon this earlier, but the struggles of working as an actor of color.
Ooh, now. Okay, so now
Or
we
if you
get into
like,
the Uncle
if
Zone.
there's like any triumphs, if there's like a silver line to everything, like just feel free to share your own experience.
No, 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 no. We can tackle it head on because again, I come from the old school. This is pre-Obama when all the elders tried to get the young folks to stand strong and try their best with the seemingly empty promise of the time where you could be anything you want to be. You could be president of the United States. To which we all like said, I certainly hope so, but okay. Again, this was pre-Obama, and we were on our way up with only those hopes of our elders to guide us. But um, times are changing. The younger generation is far more flexible. And you know what? Far more flexible and far more strident in protest. Perhaps so the generation that sparked the civil rights movement and this one, I fall in the middle. And there's a lot of folks who are beating their chest in protest. But something I see in the young generation is really, really moving the needle. And I give the nieces and nephews much credit for that. However, looking at the playing field as it is now, um, again, going on an expression that I heard from the elders when I was coming up, anything darker than a paper bag isn't going to get play. Sadly, that is still the case. The young folks are changing it, but that's still an uncomfortable reality. Um, Now, I'm a big fan of the classics of the nerd genre, uh, Tolkien, and all that type of stuff, and that has set a precedent and a refuge for blinkered thinking that is under siege right now. And things that are under siege, they they fortify themselves just before everything crumbles and there's a massive reset. Again, the young folks are putting much, much pressure on the lily white standard of the day. That pressure is causing a hardening and a calcification just before it crumbles, and then the playing field is going to be wide open. Now, I'm an old head. I can provide support, I can provide guidance, but it's the young folks that are doing it. So I am here to cheer on and lead and support. But I'm seeing the fight, but there's only so much that I can do as an old head. I'm willing, but ain't nobody listening to the old guys. I'm the uncle in the back, like, shut up, uncle. Like, all right, y'all go ahead and handle it. But what I do see is the willingness to fight for change and to create change if none is forthcoming. And that's something that I think is really, really amazing.
Hmm. So, what would you personally like to see? Like any changes that you would like to see in the industry, for society, or just what would you like to see in the future?
Huh. It, now, this goes in the if I ruled the world scenario. Um, I would like to see, you know what? I would like to see the argument of the most knuckleheaded um, people in the voiceover space about casting. Well, it should be the best voice for the job. You know what? I have to agree with you on that knuckleheaded voice on the internet with borderline racist opinion. It should be the best voice of the job, but As structured, there are too many voices that are being locked out. To answer your question, what would I like to see? I would like to see all the barriers knocked down to such a degree that those knucklehead borderline voices on the internet protesting for the best voice for the job should get the job would be entirely justified and everybody agree with them. So knock down those barriers. Let everybody audition. White, black, non-binary, male, female, and then completely objectively, without nepotism, without like all the other funnels that you have to get through to get to the job. Remove all those and let the best voice for the job take the job no matter what. Sadly, we don't live in that world right now. So, we're fighting for equity and fairness. But I'd like to see that day.
Yeah. So join us on part 2 as we wrap up this discussion, and we'll be able to discuss more about, what we would like to see, or like I mentioned, like we are still fighting and we're still doing all this, because it's just having these heavy conversations like this and just being real with the audience is just something that just really, it just gives me hope, It just warms my heart, and it provides us more, it gives us more of an optimistic viewpoint of what we would like to see in the future. So it really does give me more like strength, vigilance, and also determination and persistence. That's very much where I'm standing on this, and
Right on.
where we're heading towards in the foreseeable future. But for now, part 2 will conclude this. And yeah, if you've been enjoying it so far, let us know. Until then,
Wonderful.
see you in the next part, guys.
Looking
Peace.
forward to it.